What happens when Western armor, praised as invincible, meets the precision of Russian fire? The answer did not come from speeches or promises, but from burning wrecks scattered across the front. Humvees abandoned in smoke, Bradleys torn apart by missiles, convoys turned into graveyards within minutes. Each strike was more than destruction. It was a verdict. So, the question stands. If NATO's best cannot survive here, what hope remains for Kyiv? Keep your eyes on the story. Near Konstantinovka, Russian fighters scored a clean hit against an American-made MWV, the so-called Humvee that Washington once paraded as the backbone of modern mobility. The vehicle was tracked, targeted, and reduced to wreckage with a single strike. Instead of carrying out its mission, the Humvee became another silent carcass on the road. One more entry in the growing list of American failures in Ukraine. Elsewhere, the enemy's own cameras recorded what they never intended to show the world: panic, fire, and humiliation. A Russian FPV drone dived straight into a Ukrainian Humvee, turning the vehicle into a flaming trap. Smoke poured out as the crew fled in fear, abandoning not only their machine, but their dignity. What was meant to be a symbol of American strength was reduced to ash before the lenses of the very men who had counted on it to protect them. The footage left no room for denial. When Russian drones lock on, there is no escape. On another sector of the front, images surfaced of yet another Humvee lying wrecked and lifeless. The message could not be clearer. Whether in open terrain, forest lines, or urban approaches, the fate of these vehicles remains the same. They are spotted, they are struck, and they are abandoned. But the humiliation did not end with Humvees. Russian anti-tank teams armed with the Fagot ATGM tore through an American Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. What NATO generals had once boasted as a game changer became a burning hulk in the mud. Alongside the Bradley, Ukrainian depots and positions were reduced to rubble. Observation posts, ammunition storage, fortified shelters, each was dismantled by precision fire. For Kyiv's soldiers, there was no stronghold to hide in, no vehicle to rely on, no sanctuary to retreat to. Here lies the bitter truth. Western vehicles, no matter how heavily advertised, cannot endure against Russia's doctrine and firepower. To understand this, one must compare what Washington and NATO deliver with what Russia fields in the same category. Take the Humvee. Designed for speed and troop transport, its thin armor was never meant to survive modern battlefields dominated by drones, artillery, and missiles. At best, it can protect against small arms fire. But in the flat plains and industrial ruins of Ukraine, a Humvee is not a lifeline. It is a coffin waiting to be sealed. Now place it against Russia's own equivalents, such as the Tigr-M and the BTR series. The Tigr-M is more than a troop carrier. It is built for reconnaissance, for mobility under fire, and for survival against the very threats that annihilate Humvees. With modular armor, capacity for heavier weapons, and integration into Russia's drone reconnaissance networks, the Tigr is not merely transport. It is part of the battlefield machine. The difference is not just design, but doctrine. Where NATO sends vehicles piecemeal, Russia fields them as nodes in a connected warfighting system. Then compare the Bradley to Russia's BMP-3. The Bradley, a relic of American interventions in Iraq, carries thick armor and a 25mm chain gun. But its size, its weight, and its reliance on outdated countermeasures make it an easy target. Russian ATGMs, drones, and artillery find Bradleys like beacons. They are slow, hot on thermal optics, and impossible to conceal. The BMP-3, in contrast, combines firepower, maneuverability, and amphibious capability. Armed with a 100mm cannon, a 30mm autocannon, and anti-tank guided missiles, it is not just a carrier, but a battlefield predator. Where a Bradley dies standing still, the BMP adapts to rivers, forests, and urban corridors. And unlike the Western machines sent to Ukraine, Russia's BMPs are backed by a doctrine that integrates reconnaissance drones, artillery observers, and strike coordination into every maneuver. The contrast could not be sharper. NATO supplies equipment designed for wars of the past, vehicles meant for patrolling highways, for suppressing insurgents, for showy parades in foreign lands. Russia, by necessity and design, builds for survival against peer-level threats, for integration into combined arms offensives, and for real war. That is why on the fields of Ukraine, the balance tilts so heavily. And for the Ukrainian crews inside these Western gifts, the nightmare only grows heavier. Every soldier knows the pattern. Convoys leave the tree line. UAVs spot them instantly. Within minutes, artillery brackets the roads, and FPV drones swoop in from angles impossible to defend. The first vehicle burns. The second is abandoned. The third veers off-road, only to be struck in turn. What began as a deployment ends as a graveyard. This psychological weight is devastating. The sight of comrades fleeing from burning Humvees, the memory of Bradleys exploding under a single missile, the knowledge that no vehicle will save them. These turn even steel armor into a fragile shell. Fear spreads faster than fire, and crews often choose to abandon their machines before the first strike arrives. In this way, Russian drones and missiles do more than destroy metal. They dismantle morale, tearing apart the fighting spirit of those trapped inside NATO's so-called gifts. Thus, the battlefield fills with wreckage. Humvees left smoldering, Bradleys torn apart, Western carriers lined in rows like rusting monuments to failed promises. Each destroyed vehicle is more than a tactical loss. It is a message. A message that NATO's aid, no matter how loudly announced, cannot alter the fate awaiting Ukraine's forces. Russia's precision, adaptability, and doctrine have proven relentless. Every strike adds to the evidence that Kyiv's dependence on Western machines only leads to further humiliation. And so, as September gave way to October, the story repeated itself with cruel consistency. Ukraine sends its prized vehicles into battle, and Russia sends them to the scrap heap or to the trophy museums, where they stand as silent witnesses to a war that has already shown who commands the field. What remains clear is this: the machines once hailed as invincible are nothing more than fragile shells when faced with Russia's evolving arsenal. And for every burning Humvee, every destroyed Bradley, there is only one conclusion: Kyiv's war is collapsing not tomorrow, not someday, but already, here and now. That's today's wrap-up. See you on another report.